Y'all, what in the love and hip-hop is going on? 1 minute, Scrappy is posting cryptic captions like he's auditioning for a sad R&B album, and the next boom he's in the hospital, unconscious, and the entire internet is flipping tables. But hold on tight because the tea gets scalding. Guess who finally crawled out of the social media shadows with a prayers up message? That's right, Miss Bambi herself. But let's be honest. Is she genuinely heartbroken or just heartbroken that she's trending again? Is this love, guilt, or a PR stunt wrapped in a pity post? And more importantly, why now? Where was all this emotional energy when Scrappy was spiraling like a soap opera character on his last storyline? Was this a tragic accident, or the result of a toxic cycle that played out in front of millions of followers and fake friends? We've got leaked DMs, anonymous sources, and some very suspicious timing, so don't blink. Don't scroll. And don't even think about sipping your tea just yet, because what we uncovered might just flip this entire sympathy train upside down. Stick around. Because this ain't just drama. ... This is reality TV, karma, on steroids. So here we are, deep in the middle of the mess that no one saw coming, or maybe everyone did and just didn't want to say it out loud. Scrappy, the once unshakable Southern king of crunk, lying unconscious in a hospital bed while the internet goes into cardiac arrest. And Bambi. Oh, she finally crawled out of the shadows with a cryptic post that said more with what it didn't say than what it did. But if you think this is just about a prayers up post, think again. This is about heartbreak, breakdowns, and a whole lot of behind-the-scenes tea that the public was never supposed to sip. Let's start from the top, shall we? According to several anonymous sources, who may or may not have been sitting 3 booths over at that Atlanta hookah spot, Scrappy has been spiraling for weeks. And no, not the kind of spiraling where you binge-watch sad movies and listen to Jodici in the dark. We're talking serious emotional collapse. One insider claimed he'd been living like a ghost in his own house. The man wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping, and definitely wasn't rapping. The only thing on replay in that house was regret. Regret, and Bambi's last voice note. The same voice note he apparently played on loop until his phone died twice. And while the fans were distracted by fake smiles on Instagram and the illusion of co-parenting peace, Scrappy was unraveling at the seams. They say the last straw was a phone call, a midnight call. The kind you make when you're desperate for answers that won't come. The call to Bambi. His voice was shaking. He told her he didn't know how to live without her. And what did she say? According to someone who claimed to have seen her pacing outside her condo that night, she said, "Scrappy, you gotta find peace. Because I can't be your crutch anymore." And just like that, the line went dead. Now let's talk timing. Just hours after that call, Scrappy was found by Diamond DS. Diamond, the ex, with a history almost as complicated as this situation. She got to his house after a series of disturbing messages that made no sense but felt all too final. When she walked in, what she saw made her drop her phone. Scrappy collapsed on the floor, pills everywhere, bottle caps, torn labels, a room that smelled like despair. And while paramedics rushed in to save his life, the rest of the world was scrolling mindlessly, completely unaware that their favorite messy couple was in full-blown crisis. But here's where it gets twisted. Because while Scrappy was being rushed into the ER, the internet was already whispering. Screenshots were flying. Alleged texts between Scrappy and unnamed friends started popping up in fan group chats. One of them allegedly read, "I gave her everything, and she still walked." Another said, "I don't want to be here anymore if she ain't in my life." Now whether those were real or cooked up by some fan with too much time and a Canva subscription, nobody can say for sure. But what we do know is this. The hospital confirmed that Scrappy was in critical condition, unresponsive, and that foul play had been ruled out. Which brings us to Bambi. The silence was deafening. Not a tweet, not a story, not even a vague repost. Fans began flooding her page. Say something, is this why he collapsed? Do you even care? One particularly viral comment. Read, funny how you were quick to post vacation pics but slow to post prayers. Ouch. Still, she said nothing. But behind the scenes, insiders say she was freaking out. One of her alleged close friends, who we'll call Lashes by Lexi for the sake of anonymity, claimed Bambi was crying, pacing, and asking Mama D for updates. Yes, the same Mama D who once threatened to go full soap opera villain on Bambi. During their many blow-ups reportedly, even Mama D softened, telling her, "This ain't the time for pride. If you care, then act like it." But Bambi didn't rush to the hospital. She stayed home, She lit a candle, she prayed, she posted a black screen with white text, reading, wishing healing to those in pain. And if that doesn't scream, emotionally detached, prove neutrality, I don't know what does. Still, the post sent shockwaves. Within minutes, gossip blogs were dissecting every word. Was those in pain a subtle jab? Was it an attempt to distance herself emotionally? While still seeming compassionate, was it written by her publicist or from the heart? The debates got ugly fast. Some fans rallied behind her, saying she owed Scrappy nothing. Others tore her apart, accusing her of triggering his breakdown and ghosting when he needed her most. And while this digital war raged on, Scrappy remained unconscious, hooked up to machines, and surrounded by his mother, Diamond, and a few loyal friends who were too shocked to even speak. And that's when the footage leaked. A video grainy, time-stamped from 2 months ago showing Scrappy sitting in a studio interview, eyes red, voice cracking. "I lost the love of my life," he said in the clip, "and I don't think I'll ever bounce back." The interviewer leaned in and asked, "Bambi?" Scrappy just nodded and looked down. That moment, now going viral on every platform, hit fans in the chest. Suddenly, people weren't just gossiping. They were mourning. They were angry. They were asking, if a man is crying for help and nobody listens, who's really to blame? Is this about mental health? Or about the wreckage do people leave behind when love turns toxic and unresolved pain becomes public spectacle? As doctors worked around the clock to stabilize Scrappy, the internet remained glued to every update. But something about Bambi's energy still didn't sit right with people. Was she in shock? Or was she trying to protect her brand? Because while Scrappy's life was hanging in the balance, Bambi was spotted the next day leaving a nail salon, face hidden behind shades, silent as ever. No statement, no appearance, just silence. The kind that feels louder than a scream. And as the hospital spokesperson confirmed that Scrappy was breathing on his own but not yet conscious, a new rumor began to surface, one that would flip the entire situation on its head. According to a source who claimed to overhear a very loud conversation between 2 nurses in the hospital break room, Scrappy had reportedly whispered something just before slipping back into unconsciousness. "Tell her, I tried," he said, barely audible, as a single tear slid down his face. Of course, whether this actually happened or whether it's the fever dream of a bored intern trying to go viral, no one can really say, but it didn't stop the rumor from spreading like wildfire. And that's when things really got out of control, because apparently, this isn't just about Bambi and Scrappy anymore. No. Enter stage left, Erica Dixon. Yes, Scrappy's other ex, who decided this was the perfect moment to drop a vaguely petty tweet that read, "Some people break, others, just to see if they'll heal." Now was she talking about Bambi? Was she talking about herself? Or was she just in her messy villain era? Nobody knows, but the internet sure had theories. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Mama D was doing what Mama D does best, holding vigil, like a reality TV queen while simultaneously side-eyeing everyone who dared to show up late. Word is, she even blocked Bambi's number temporarily after learning that she still hadn't come to see Scrappy. "Don't send me prayers if you can't show up for my child," she allegedly told a nurse, clutching her pearls and her purse. At the same time, Diamond, who had basically become Scrappy's unofficial emotional support human, stayed close to. Rumors started to bubble about her moving back into his life and, possibly his house if he pulled through. A fan posted what looked like her Range Rover parked outside Scrappy's place, and suddenly the comments were filled with, "Is she back?" And "Oh, she'd been waiting for this moment." And yet, as all this unfolded, Bambi remained silent. Her phone screen stayed dark, her notifications probably off, until one unexpected appearance flipped the internet upside down. She went live. No filters, no glam, no prepared statement. Just Bambi, raw and visibly shaken, sitting on her couch, with her voice barely holding steady. "I didn't think I'd be saying anything," she started, eyes red and swollen. "But I'm seeing a lot of things online that just aren't true." She didn't name names. She didn't call anyone out. But she didn't have to. The pain was written all over her face. "No matter what has happened between me and Scrappy, I never wanted this. I never imagined this. He's my daughter's father. He's a part of my life forever, whether we're together or not." Then came the bomb. "I wasn't ignoring him. I was scared," she said, voice cracking. "I thought if I responded to that call, I'd be sucked back into something that would break me again. And maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have answered." Instantly, fans split into 2 camps. Team Bambi, who praised her for her honesty, and for not showing up just for the cameras, and Team Too Little Too Late, who weren't buying the tears. One comment read, "Funny how you find your voice when the sympathy points start rolling in." Another chimed in, "You ghosted him, and now you want to cry on live. Girl, save it." But that wasn't the worst of it. A blog posted what they claimed was a leaked message from Scrappy's burner account, message that had been unsent but screenshotted before it vanished. The message allegedly said, "I begged her, I told her I wasn't okay. She saw it, she just didn't care." Now, whether this was real or a cleverly photoshopped DM, it didn't matter. The internet grabbed it and ran with it like a toddler with a stolen phone. And now, public opinion was spinning out of control. Meanwhile, Scrappy began to regain consciousness, slowly and painfully. Doctors said he was lucky to be alive, but his recovery would be long and uncertain. And in his barely coherent state, his first question according to another conveniently anonymous nurse was, "Did Bambi come?" When the answer was no, he reportedly turned his head and stared at the wall for hours. Whether that's true or just dramatic fanfiction, the internet ate it up. Bambi, apparently shaken by the weight of everything collapsing online, made one last move that would either be seen as redemptive or performative, depending on who you ask. She went to the hospital. Eyewitnesses said she arrived in the middle of the night, no makeup, hoodie pulled low, avoiding every camera like she was sneaking into Area 51, but Mama D saw her, and while we'll never know what words were exchanged in that hallway, sources say there was yelling, crying, and at one point, Bambi walked away with her hand over her mouth like she'd just been slapped with every regret at once. But eventually, she went inside. She sat beside Scrappy's bed, and they talked. For hours, no one knows what was said. But when she left, she didn't look like a woman who had found peace. She looked like a woman who had seen too much, lost too much, and realized just how fragile everything really is. And then came the final twist on alleged voicemail, leaked to a blog. Supposedly from Scrappy to a friend the day before his collapse. In it, he says, "I can't keep pretending. I lost her, and I lost myself. I don't care about the music. I don't care about anything. I just wanted someone to care." That voicemail lit a fire under every narrative, fueling the belief that this wasn't just a mental health episode. It was a man crying out after being ignored, after feeling disposable, after loving someone who had already moved on emotionally while he was still drowning. And just like that, every fake apology, every delayed response, every black screen post with a vague caption became ammunition. And as Scrappy fought for strength and clarity, one question began to echo louder than all the rumors and reactions combined. If this man didn't have a platform, if he wasn't a reality TV star, if he wasn't famous, would anyone have cared that he broke? Or would he have faded into silence? Another broken heart, buried under filtered selfies and viral dances. And while fans argued, blogs speculated, and DMs flooded with fake tea and secondhand details, one thing became horrifyingly clear. This was no longer just about Scrappy and Bambi. This was about the pressure to perform healing, the expectation to post grief, and the very public cost of private pain when your life has become entertainment. And nobody knew what was coming next. And while the world kept refreshing their timelines for updates, Scrappy's hospital room became a revolving door of emotions, apologies, and unfinished conversations that no one was ever ready to have. Doctors came and went, checking vitals, adjusting IVs, speaking in hushed tones while pretending not to eavesdrop on the chaos unfolding in the corner of the room. Because let's be honest, everyone wanted to know what Bambi and Mama D were whispering about. Even if it was just a quiet prayer or another tense exchange about who really failed Scrappy. A nurse reportedly told a cousin who told a blog that Bambi stayed longer than anyone expected. She didn't cry this time. She didn't post. She just sat there, watching him sleep, holding the same hand that used to hold hers during every red carpet appearance and late-night argument. And when he finally opened his eyes again, for real this time, and saw her sitting there, all the air seemed to leave the room. He asked one thing, voice raspy and tired, "Why'd you come?" And she answered, just loud enough for him to hear, "Because I still care. Even if I couldn't show it right." Now, whether that moment was genuine or a rehearsed finale scene, for a reality comeback special, fans will debate forever, but the emotional punch was undeniable. Scrappy looked away, eyes blinking rapidly, like he didn't know whether to be grateful or angry. And truthfully, who could blame him? This wasn't just heartbreak. This was a full-blown public tragedy wrapped in paparazzi photos and fake concern, because outside those hospital walls, people were already speculating about a reconciliation. Like a life-threatening incident was just another plot twist to drive views and likes. Some even claimed it was all exaggerated, that the overdose wasn't that serious, that it was a cry for attention. One anonymous insider insisted Scrappy had checked out emotionally weeks ago, and this was just the boiling point. Another accused Bambi of trying to flip the narrative by showing up now that she saw the sympathy shifting toward Scrappy. And just when things started to settle, an alleged court document leaked an old therapy report from couples counseling, back in their final season on Love and Hip Hop. In it, both Scrappy and Bambi reportedly admitted to being emotionally unavailable, codependent, and toxic at times. One highlighted note read, "They love each other deeply but are incapable of healing together." And suddenly, the entire internet latched onto that one sentence like it was gospel. They weren't just exes. They were a cautionary tale. A story about love, fame, emotional trauma, and what happens when real pain becomes public property. But, still, the show wasn't over. Because now everyone wanted to know what happens next. Will Scrappy bounce back, do a sit-down interview, cry on cue, and drop a single about second chances? Will Bambi go silent again or drop a YouTube video titled My Side of the Story, filmed with soft lighting and piano music? Mama D was already planning a prayer brunch according to one blogger, and Diamond. Well, rumor had it she wasn't too happy seeing Bambi sitting by Scrappy's bedside like she'd never left. One of Diamond's close friends allegedly told a fan page, "She's been there since day one of this breakdown. And now Bambi wants to play Florence Nightingale. Please." Meanwhile, Erica Dixon remained curiously quiet after that petty tweet, but screenshots started surfacing, showing her liking shady comments about Bambi. Subtle, but effective. And while all this drama bubbled on the surface, the deeper issue went untouched. No one wanted to talk about the fact that Scrappy was a man in pain for a long time, that the signs were there, that his posts had been growing darker, that his interviews were full of red flags no one took seriously, because it's easier to laugh at a man crying on TV than it is to admit he's broken. Mental health only trends when someone dies or almost dies, and Scrappy. He nearly became another headline, another loss, another rapper gone too soon. But instead, he lived. And now, he has to live with it. The recovery, the backlash, the rumors, the whispers, the weirdly aggressive TikTok edits, and the parade of people suddenly claiming they always cared. He has to rebuild a life that was already cracked in too many places. And Bambi, whether she sticks around or vanishes again, her name is now forever tied to this moment. Fair or not, public opinion has its favorites and its villains, and when it comes to love stories gone wrong, the woman is either a martyr or a monster. There's no in-between. But let's not act like Scrappy was perfect either. The man has baggage so heavy it needs its own reality show spin-off. This wasn't one-sided pain. This was mutual destruction, slow and messy, and filmed for our entertainment. The fans who once shipped them are now analyzing every move like they're courtroom jurors, deciding who gets the sympathy and who gets the smoke. But none of them are there at 3 a.m. when Scrappy can't sleep. None of them were there when Bambi read that first text and felt her heart drop but still didn't respond. None of them sat in that hospital chair wondering if it was too late to fix what was broken. And that's the twisted reality of all of this. We watch, we comment, we drag, we uplift, and we speculate. But the real pain, that's still happening behind closed doors, far from the filters and fake concern. So now the question becomes, where does it go from here? Will they try again? Should they even try again? Is this the beginning of a second chance or the slow fade into a clean goodbye? Or worse, will this be milked into another storyline, another season, another round of fame-fueled healing that only opens more wounds? The only people who can answer that are Scrappy and Bambi, and they're still figuring it out themselves. But one thing is crystal clear, the damage is done. The world saw the breakdown. The world watched the silence. The world felt the consequences. And now the world is waiting for the next chapter in this messy, emotional, painful, unforgettable saga. Because if there's one thing everyone knows by now, it's that nothing stays buried forever, especially not in the world of celebrity heartbreak, where cameras never stop rolling, even when the lights go out. So now that you've heard every jaw-dropping, heart-wrenching, and eyebrow-raising detail of this emotional roller coaster, the question is, what do you think? Was Bambi's silence just shock, or calculated distance? Did Scrappy's heartbreaking spiral reveal cracks that were always there but ignored by the spotlight? Is this truly a second chance or just a painful reminder of how far love can fall when pride and pain get in the way? Drop your raw, unfiltered thoughts in the comments because we know this story isn't over. And your take might just be the one that flips the entire conversation. And if you want to keep up with every twist, leak, shady post, or emotional update, don't just scroll and forget. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and smash that bell so you never miss a second of what's really going on behind the scenes. We've got the tea, the drama, and the exclusive breakdowns no one else is giving you. Because let's face it, in a world where everyone's faking it for the gram, someone's got to tell the real story. Until the next shocking twist breaks wide open, stay safe, stay skeptical, and stay tuned.